Good morning. Welcome to this episode of Third and Teal. Got the regulars here. We got Trevor with his new background. Look at those nice, pretty game issue jerseys. Look at them.
Don't
Look
forget the
at them.
hats.
Got some more up there too. Even got the hats in between. I see you got
Mm-hmm.
27 Trevor Lawrence jerseys, and that's cool.
Hey, there's
how you
more than
doing, buddy?
Lawrence. There's more than Lawrence. I'm doing great, man.
Yeah.
And shout out to everyone that I saw at the draft party. First and foremost, you guys are real ones. Appreciate the big boom on the channel. Thank you guys.
Sweet. Yep, got some good content from that. Thank you for going. Thanks to everybody that interviewed with Trevor. Stopped in. We're gonna get those posted ASAP. Just kind of working them out over a couple of days because the algorithm and such. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Eric, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm here, man. I'm doing wonderful. Another great day to talk Jag football.
It's every day, baby. Every day.
Exactly. So
So,
let's make this happen.
Oh yeah. Well, I think we all know what we're here to do. We thought about doing this video a little bit earlier, but it just didn't work out for everybody. Gonna get some draft grades on there. And what do you guys think? We go first, we do overall grade, or we go player by player, then talk about overall after?
I think player by player, then overall. Give a good insight to why we gave the overall that we did.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You think so too, Eric?
Yes, that sounds like a great plan. Great plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody wants to cover the undrafted free agents?
Oh yes, those guys. I'm here for it.
Those guys are I think if you don't know the undrafted free agents, it's hard to get a bigger picture of why we took who we took in the draft.
Yeah.
So I think that helps me with my overall grade as well.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. After we get through these guys, and then we can kind of go overall. So numbers a little off. I think he's 6'3", 6'2" and 7'8", 6'4", depending on the website you look at. Brian Thomas Jr., 4.33 speed, 210 pounds, 6'3", coming out of LSU. Steve Smith said he's silky smooth. I think that some places are being a little unfair with the draft grade on him. I think that a lot of them are being very unfair with the draft grade on him. What do you? Let's start with you, Trevor. What do you think about the pick of Brian Thomas Jr. and the grade on there?
All right. So first things first, I got to say, I was in utter hatred of the trade back at first. And I'll tell you why. Because I did not expect so many people to pass on him like they did. Because, you think you got a guy this big with blazing speed and physicality, like that size to be physical. He's got plenty of tape to show him being physical, plenty of tape to show he's a go up and get it receiver, and he's silky smooth on the route. Steve Smith said it the best. I think it did work out beautifully for us. I got props to Baalke for that. Absolutely props to him because that worked out beautiful. Just, I can't give it anything less than an A-. The only thing I would say is the only way it could have gotten better. Honestly, I don't even really think it could have gotten any better per se, unless we traded up and went and got Neighbors, because Neighbors is the only other guy that was reasonable for us. Roma Dunze was reasonable, but I would have rather had Neighbors over him. So it's a hard sell for me. I got to go A-. I love him as a player overall. Watching all his tape, dude is a fine-tuned route runner, perfect wide receiver one style addition.
Okay. What about you, Eric? What are you thinking?
Man, what else can I say besides what Trevor just said? But I give it an A. This draft was really the first round was really strange because it just didn't fall as everybody expected, and I was surprised that he was actually still there.
Me too.
In fact, basically everyone we predicted that we may take was still there on the board. And I do believe that it was a good pickup. It was definitely a necessity, a need, and Baalke hit this one out the park. He got it. It. So I give it an A.
Yeah, I'm all right. I gave it an A as well. Honestly, I think that all these places giving it a B+. B+ isn't terrible, but I've seen places giving it a C, a D, talking about reaching on him. Like every mock draft before like the week of the draft had him going top 16, everybody had him going early, and then all of a sudden, everybody all of a sudden knows better and think, oh, well, he this, that, and the other. Like he's just a straight line receiver. He's not. He's got some of the best route running in the class. At 6'3", 6'4", whatever he is, 200 something pounds, with the 4.3 blazing speed. You see him make catches and get yards after the catch. You see him go up and grab footballs over people. I just don't think people were being fair with that. We could have taken him at 17. We traded back. We got all this stuff. I kept telling Trevor to calm down whenever we were doing
Yeah.
about it. But there was 6 players on the board that I would have drafted there, and we only moved back 5 picks. So I knew at least one of them was going to be available. And I just think that it was a great pick, and I think that we moved back and got some capital for next year. At first, the trade, whenever I saw it, somebody had said a 5th this year in this pick, and I was like, well, what the fuck was that for? Why would we move back 5 spots for a 5th? And then the full trade came out. We got a 3rd and a 4th next year. Couldn't be more happy about that. But yeah, I would give this overall pick. I mean, overall with the trade, I give it an A+. The player himself at that spot, I'd give it an A.
Outstanding.
Yeah, that 3rd and 4th next year is going to be nice, especially if we trade up a little bit, and we're going to be able to move a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
And let's see here. So, Mason Smith. No Mason, no Mason. It's Mason.
Mason.
He talked about it. His mama gave him that name. His daddy wanted it to be different. Mason. Mason Smith. Mason. I think he's built different. That dude's huge. He's a monster. What
he ate the other Mason. That's why he's got 2 A's.
Yeah, he ate the other Mason. Okay, I like that. So what do you think, Trevor?
Oh man, I think I go B here. I go B here because I look at the board around where we picked him. I'm not mad about the pick. I want to make that clear. I'm happy with the pick. I just think it's a typical Baalke type deal. Like he's coming back off injury, if I'm not mistaken, and it was pretty harsh one in his words, talking about making the comeback, how he didn't feel 100%. And he played on that way. Like he played not at 100%. And that kind of gives me a little bit of fright, and mainly because Baalke has a history of drafting project players, guys that are right there on the cusp. They either suffer a injury or a personal life issue and kind of have to reset their football career and restart, not from foundation, obviously. If the skill's there, the skill's there. But, like, it's a typical Baalke move. And typically we've seen him draft players like this to sit on our bench for 3 years and then get cut. I'm really hoping that's not what this is. I really hope that he turns out well. I hope that he is rehabbing well. I hope that he comes full force with no resistance, no issues. And I hope that he's as strong as he is. I mean, if he wasn't coming off injury, it's an A for me because it was one of our needs, absolutely, especially with the potential of switching to 4-3, getting another big physical hand in the dirt to go with Eric. Absolutely love it. And I also saw that Josh Allen loved it, and I love that because that shows that they're listening. And that's big. That's a big change for us because that's something we are known for never doing, is listening to who our guys actually want and their feedback as well. And I'm glad to see that change as well.
Okay. Eric?
I would give it a B- as well. And Trevor is correct. It's definitely a Baalke pick. Baalke has a history of picking players that has, as they call it, traits. They work hard and go through adversity and work hard to get back. And I'm like Trevor. I don't want to see this kid, come back and then have to sit on the bench for 3 years and then we get rid of him because we never gave him a fair shot. But I think also when you think of Ryan Nielsen type of defense, aggressive, disruptive, yeah, it was a good pick because that's what we need. That is exactly what we need. And he brings, once he gets back to 100%, I think he also will bring some physicality to that defensive front line. Because, yeah, we all said it last year, we were lacking that. We couldn't play big boy football, and yeah, I think he would help us bring back big boy football in Jacksonville. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as
Bully
y'all
ball.
saw from the shorts, we got skinny boy football with Trevor, but that's all right. Um, no, but I'd give Mason Smith I give him a B plus, and the reason I say that is because people forget this dude is a beast. You know, he had a horrific ACL tear. I mean, there are different grades to ACL tear. Some people can come back in 6 months. Some people it takes over a year. He's a big dude with a big body. It takes longer. He had 5 sacks his freshman year in the SEC against some of the best offensive line competition in the country. I mean, he's a 5-star recruit out of high school. He was talked about as early as the first round, before he got hurt, like in their way too early mock drafts and different stuff like that, and about his talent level. He moves better than most 300-pound dudes. I mean, there's just no doubt about that. At 6'5", 6'6", he's a mauler. He's going to go in there. He's not our 0. He's our 3 or 5 tech. Where he can rotate it in that a little bit. He can play a little bit of some 1 and 2. But I just don't think people realize that, like, this is such a big need for us. People are like, oh, we could have got this, we could have got that. That's cool. We could have. You're right. But we've got a need, and that need is we could not stop anyone versus the run last year. Eric Armstead, love Eric Armstead, great pickup. He is a guy that has an injury history. So if we've got another guy right behind him that's just as big, just as strong, just as physical, and Mason Smith, and Mason Smith, what's there not to like about having a dude that can rotate in and look like nothing happened? I think we're going to get that out of him. He said he wasn't fully healthy until right at the end / after the season. Said he was playing at the end of the season about 90%. He's feeling 100 by the combine and everything. Dude moves good. He plays good. He's nasty. He like Jordan Jefferson, who we're going to talk about later, said, you're getting a pair of dogs coming in who are going to work hard. I think people are hard on the kid, but I think that they'll be pretty excited about it early. And it makes me think with how Josh reacted, and people were like, oh, Josh isn't going to go out there and trash his team. Blah, blah. No, I think Josh Allen probably laid down the law with Baalke and them when signing that contract and said, I need inside help. And if you tell me you're going to get me inside help, I'll sign this contract and we'll do this. Because that number was close to what he was asking for originally, what he got signed for. I think he just wanted a little more security and to make sure they were actually going to get him some help on the inside. And that would make sense why we drafted 2 interior D linemen that can come in here day one and contribute.
And, before we move on, another interesting part about this is what Trevor said earlier about the team beginning to listen. We have coaches on this team now that actually coach these kids at LSU.
Yep.
So that's some insight that, I think may have played a part in drafting these guys, because you have a coach that actually has, worked with them and know their work ethic and what they're about. So I think that had a lot to do with it as well.
Yeah,
and
too.
That shows, like Trevor said, that the team is finally listening. And not just, out there doing whatever.
Absolutely. And I think that, too, some of the people don't realize Mason Smith turns 22 in October. He's young. A lot of these guys are a little bit older. He is young. We have a while for him to, and I mean, people are like, oh, he should have gone back for another year. Okay, he goes back for another year. Now he's a first-round pick if he plays well. There's a chance he doesn't play well, but he'll be 100% healthy. And last time we saw him 100% healthy, he had 5 sacks as a freshman, true freshman. He only played 3 years in college. Right. We're gonna sit here and act like, oh, we could have done this, we could have done that. I mean, there was literally a scout that said I had Mason Smith as a 47 overall prospect, and Jags got him at 48. There was definitely buzz around the league that he might not have been worth as much, but there was definitely buzz around the league that he was worth as much. And I guarantee you that's why we snatched him there and didn't try and move back and take him. Because I guarantee you if we didn't take him there's probably another team within the next 10 picks that would have done it.
I don't think he would have made it another 5.
No. And people can say what they want, and people act like they know ball, and that's fine. I'm here to tell you that you don't. And Mason Smith was a great pick. There's no with his length, his size, his athleticism, his just strength, everything. They don't last long, especially not at that position. The only reason that Jerzon Newton lasted so long is because there were so many offensive players taken in the first round. It was like 5 tackles or 4 tackles, whatever it was. Like, there were just so many players taken that a DT got put in the back seat. And I just think we did great on him, honestly. But moving on here, we've got Mr. Jarian Jones. How are we feeling about Mr. Jarian Jones? I know, Eric, are you a Florida State fan too?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yes,
I know.
sir.
I know
Yes,
y'all are a couple of delinquents over there and Florida State fans, but whatever.
Yes, sir. Yes.
I mean, I got to say this. This will probably get some heat from people that may see it, but I feel like he's the steal of the draft.
Bam.
Like he was a straight theft.
Could
because I mean, honestly, he's the type of corner that I'm not gonna lie, I would have been okay with seeing go in our second round pick. I'm not saying I'd take him over Terrion or Kool-Aid or Quinion, because all three of those are more finished corners. I won't say better, but they're more finished corners, more refined. But Jerion, obviously, he's coming from my college team that I love. I've seen Jerion play every game that he was in since he put the garnet and gold on, and I'm going to tell you, that guy is a dog. He is a stud, absolute stud to the very core definition of the word. Okay, This guy is a ball hawk. He's quick. He's got great lateral movement. Change of direction is great. He snaps to the ball, and his play recognition is almost through the roof. Dude is good. I actually can't recall a time I remember seeing him bust a play. I can't recall it because I don't think it actually happened, to be completely honest with you. I can't think of one. But that being said, he's my steal of the draft. And at this pick, I think there's nobody better, obviously, that we could have snagged sitting on the board at the time for our needs. I don't think it could have went any way. I give him an A+ on this one. This one's an A+ for me.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, clearly no busted plays. I mean, Brother Man had 0 touchdowns allowed in 2 years. So it's pretty good numbers there. What do you think, Eric?
What Trevor said. But also, the versatility. He can play outside if he has to, but he's definitely an upgrade from Herndon in the slot, which I think that's where they probably play him. And so, without a doubt,
You could almost sign a guy off the sidewalk to be an upgrade from Herndon.
Yeah, so he definitely is steal. He's the steal, I think, of the draft for us because the kid is good. He is good. So yeah, I'm with you, Trevor. I'm with you.
Out of drafted players, I say he's the steal of the draft. But I think we got a better steal in the draft that was technically out of the draft. But we'll talk about that later.
I know where you're going with this, and I can't disagree with you. But that's the steal of
the drafted players.
Right,
yeah, of course.
The drafted players. Yep. Okay. All right. Let's
Jarian Jones, I'd give it an A there, honestly. I think that, people are being overly critical about that, and they're saying we took him too early. Everybody wants to say we reached on everybody we picked. It doesn't matter where we picked him, who we picked. We could have picked Patrick Mahomes somehow, and they'd have told us we reached on him. There's nothing in this draft that people are like, oh, I love that one. Oh my God, it's amazing. Except for like maybe Javon Foster and Brian Thomas. But Jarian Jones specifically, like, I don't understand. Like, there was such a huge uproar and like a fire burning to get Snead, but all of a sudden, drafting, and all of a sudden the slot corner is not that important, and like, blah blah blah, like there was just a huge fucking fight over, the best slot corner in the league, the best whatever. And now we get a really good one who hasn't allowed a touchdown in the year, which that's what they praise Sauce Gardner for, and never allowed a touchdown in his college career. It's because he was holding on to dudes and the rest weren't calling him, just like they do in the NFL. He had one good year and now they're catching him for that shit. Jarian Jones is a clean player. He isn't somebody who's holding on to people. He just out athletics people, and he's fast. He can bump and run with you. He can get nasty. He can sit back. He can come up and pop you in the run game. He misses tackles because he's too aggressive sometimes, or he just gets the little arm tackle in there, or he over pursues. Much rather have somebody over pursue than under pursue. So you can always tell him to come off the gas a little bit, but it's hard to force a player to get on the gas. But I really like this pick, and I think that he's going to be a great player for us, whether he starts in the slot or goes outside. I think it's going to be a great pickup.
Yeah, and all those things are teachable, though. The things you were saying, the over aggressive, they are teachable. And that's the biggest part. They are teachable.
You can teach someone to be a little less aggressive. You can't teach somebody to be more aggressive.
Right.
You can't teach a dog.
Right. Yeah. So it's all right. It's okay. We'll take that. We'll
Oh
take
yeah,
that.
absolutely. Okay. Well, next up, I really like this pick, Javon Foster out of Missouri, 6'5", 319 pounds. How are we feeling about Javon Foster?
Honestly, I can say that he was one of the players in the draft that I was a little uneducated on. I definitely could say that if I'm being completely honest. I won't sit here and pretend to know any much about him other than what I've seen since we drafted him. Um, I'll say that I like the size. Size is the biggest thing that's jumping off the chart to me. And I mean, where he's stepping in at, we need it. So, I mean, all things considered, I give it a solid. I don't know. I'd say C plus on this one. I'm going with I'm going with what I'm seeing everyone else's feedback on him, mainly because I don't have a personal opinion of him myself yet. Um, but I can say though, I can't hate the pick. I mean, I know we need the size where he's coming. So
Hmm.
Okay. Eric, what do you think?
Yeah.
You know a little more about Javon Foster?
Not really. Uh, not really. I'm with Trevor. However, I would say it's a good pick because I think he can play tackle, correct?
He is a tackle.
he
Yeah.
is.
So with just that being said, um, it's a good pick, especially because we don't know the status of dang it, now he won't even come to my brain.
Cam?
Our yeah, Cam. Thank you, Cam. After this season, and if Foster can get in and get on board and work, if Cam we do decide to let Cam go next season, uh, we got the replacement right here. Yeah. So 6'5", 319. I mean, Trevor 6'5". So just imagine some more weight on Trevor. That's a huge boy. He's
That's a
24 years
big
old.
dude.
Yeah, he's 24 years old. Uh, yeah, I think it's a decent pick. Being that I'm not as educated at all on this kid, I won't even give a grade on it. I just have to wait and see. Just have to wait and see. That's to
Okay.
be totally honest about it. Yeah.
I got you. All right. That's okay. All right. Well, now, the SEC fan will go ahead and talk about old Javon Foster here.
Okay.
So, dude's a monster. That he was like I'm pretty sure he was the fourth rated run blocker in the class for offensive linemen, at least for tackles. He said in his press conference he will play guard, he'll play tackle, he'll play whatever they want him to. So that votes good confidence for me in case Ezra Cleveland goes down. If we need to replace him, if anything happens there, we could slide him into left guard. He can play either tackle as far as the coaching staff is concerned. That's what they believe, and he believes it. Um, we don't have Cam Robinson or Walker Little in 2025. They both are
Hmm.
gone. Unless we re-sign them, and I just don't know that we're planning on re-signing Walker Little or Cam Robinson. I wouldn't re-sign Cam Robinson. He's worth too much money for the low output that he gives us. I mean, he lets Trevor get hit blindsided at least once or twice a season with absolutely no resistance. I think Javon Foster could potentially fill that role. I think he was drafted, in a decent spot. I'd give this one a B plus, honestly. Um, he was third team All American, first team All SEC. He played 4 years. He had 56 or 59 starts. Very consistent. He started the last 3 years without any issues. Dude's a monster. He's got good pad level. You watch him at the Senior Bowl and other places. You see, he just pops people. He goes after them. I just think this is another nasty pick that we wanted. We wanted some nasty. We got some nasty. We put him in the trenches. And I think this is going to be a good pickup for us. Whether he ends up playing guard or tackle, we'll see. That's the nice thing about having a 6'5", 6'6" quarterback is that we can have 6'4", 6'5" guards and centers, and not have to worry about it. But yeah, I think Javon Foster is a great pickup because he's going to go out there, and if we lose Cam, he's going to be just as nasty and just as physical in the run game. He's not the most athletic guy, but he moves decent for his size, and he's got very strong hands that he will put on you. And if he gets them on you, it's really hard to get away from him. That first punch is crazy.
Okay.
I do have to reemphasize, though, not if we lose Cam. It's when we inevitably get smart enough to let him leave.
Well, I say that because the entire fan base is going to say, "Oh, we lost Cam." So I'm just
they're the ones
preparing
that
for
don't
that.
know football, clearly,
Of
because
course.
I mean, you're looking at a guy that, sure, he's a locker room guy, but the only reason he's a locker room guy is because he's constantly heard on the sideline talking to him. He's never in the game playing with him. He's always talking. I mean, and then on top of that, Walker Little, if anybody, I swear I will go head to head with anyone who is for re-signing Walker Little. Anyone. Let him go because he has not been what he was supposed to be at all.
Whoa.
Uh-oh.
You are dead ass
Here we
wrong
go.
about that. Dead ass
No.
wrong.
Here
No.
we go.
Listen.
Here we go.
Listen.
Ding, ding, ding.
Listen. You're dead ass wrong about that. Anytime Walker Little has been the starter at left tackle, he has been a top 5 tackle in the league. The first 4 games of last season, he was ranked top 5 out of tackles for the left tackle position in blocking. He does not allow sacks when he plays.
Okay.
Now, when he played guard, he's not a guard. You know, he's a good offensive lineman. He's not a guard. He got hurt while he's playing guard. Anytime he has slotted in at left tackle as the starter for the whole game, he has been phenomenal outside of the one play where he got pushed back on top of Trevor against Cincy.
Well,
that game.
Well, that's not the only time that's happened though. Like, yeah, I'm not talking about like stat for stat wise, stat sheet wise. Somebody can look good and play different. That we can agree on, right?
He plays good.
I'm not saying I'm just saying that we can agree on that.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Right.
Paper's different than on the field.
Then what I will say is, I can recall plenty of times that if Trevor didn't move, that same thing would have happened 20 times over. I'm not saying that he's not good. I'm saying, like, you got guys like we just brought in. This guy you just said is a monster, right? Obviously, we know his size-wise he's a monster, and I did see that he made the All-SEC. I mean, obviously he's good. Okay, we can get these guys in the 3rd round, the 4th round. All right, point proven. Okay, so again, I'm not saying that he's not good. That's not the point to be made because, again, Cam Robinson is also good, but he's just not good for us. He's not good for us. All right. Like, his skill level, he's good, but he can't stop from getting hurt. But I've seen Walker Little get manhandled multiples of times. Now, just because he didn't let them go, I'm not saying that that's not a good thing. I'm just saying, like, someone like Javon Foster, I don't think he's getting manhandled like that. You're not pushing that guy back 10 yards. You're not going to grab on this guy and move.
Think about who we've played though.
No, I can see that point as well. I can see that, but again, you think about it. That's who we play.
Absolutely, but you also have to remember that Walker Little plays a different position on the line every game he plays.
No, that I completely agree with as well. I've also said we've also had that conversation where I've also agreed with that we have no offensive line consistency, and that was part of our problem. And I agree there. You're absolutely right there. But I'm just saying, I'm not saying Walker Little's not good. That's not the stretch that I'm trying to say. I'm saying that I know that we can draft someone bigger and stronger that's not going to get moved like he's 150 pounds lighter than the DT shoving him out of the way. And I think that's proven by the Javon Foster pick at the very least. And that being said, no, I don't think we should bring back Walker or Robinson. And what I mean by Little wasn't what he was supposed to be. Little was touted as the guy that is going to be that solid piece. He's been a solid, he's been like a solid kind of gap filler at best is what I'd say. Because like I said, there's so many times where if Trevor doesn't move out of the way, that same roll-up ankle play happens 20 times over because Walker Little does get manhandled a good bit. Now, and that's not, like I said, just to be clear, not saying Walker Little's not a good guard or a good tackle because he's not a guard, but he's an okay guard. But he's a good tackle. I just think that we made our point here that we can draft bigger and stronger and actually hold the line, not just slow them down. That's what we need. We need to hold our line. We got to win in the trenches. Walker Little does not win in the trenches. He slows the trenches. And that is my issue there.
That's one thing, though, I would say is remain to be seen because, of course, we haven't seen Javon Foster play. And also, too, when you're moving a guy between left and right, what I'm seeing is Walker Little plays slower whenever he gets in, because he's got to work through his progressions, and all he has in his head is 4 different positions progressions.
Right.
And I think that, if you don't bring it, you bring a guy in the second round to play tackle for you, but you re-sign Cam and you keep him around instead of getting rid of him. I mean, clearly they didn't have much confidence in him, but at the same time, every time Walker Little got on the field, and his dad said this after the first year, every time he got on the field, we won games because he was a solid piece at left tackle. I think that it's unfair to say that, he did get pushed back by some guys. We play guys like Chris Jones, Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, Trey Hendrickson. We play the best ends in the league. I think it's tough to say whether he is or isn't getting manhandled. No, he does. There were some plays where he got pushed back, but like, if you can't sit in one spot and focus and get more reps there, whether you're bigger and stronger and faster, players are going to get around you. They're going to push you back. You're going to be off whenever you're trying to make your steps. I definitely understand the point you're making, and I did see that. I mean, he did get pushed back, but he's the same. I mean, he's bigger than Javon Foster. He's 320 something pounds and 6'7". I mean, it's one of the things is, he's not as strong, but is that to say that he's not as strong because he's not physically as strong, or is that to say he's a little bit slower on his steps because he's getting confused maybe by having to learn 4 different positions and being thrown in anywhere at any point in time? That's my main thing. Is I don't know that he's necessarily just getting out physicaled. I think that he's got a little bit of a hesitation because of the fact that he's playing multiple positions all season, different places. Now, again, if Foster turns out and plays well, I mean, let's get rid of him. I'm not saying to re-sign Walker Little. I just don't think that Walker Little got a fair shake with the way we handled the Cam Robinson situation, because we got desperate and we overpaid Cam Robinson, so he never got the chance to take over.
Agreed. Well, I won't say that. Okay. I think that goes back to our front office has a bad history of not giving guys a fair shake. There's tons of things that can attribute to my opinion of Walker Little, such as it's hard to protect a line when we have no receivers breaking open and you got to hold it for 20 seconds. That's a tall task for any offensive line. All right. So it's you could blame it on that. You can blame it on the coaching inconsistency of where he's going to play from week to week. You can put it on the fact that, he did get hurt and he was trying to recoup that while filling in for other injured players. There are plenty of things that could be said there. But my main point is, you said it yourself. We play some of the best ends in the league. So that means that a good tackle is not going to cut it. We need one of the best tackles. And I'm not saying that we're going to get it every time. We're not. And I'm not saying that he's not a solid filler piece. I'm just saying that we've proven that we know that we needed to get more physical. Trent Baalke has shown that he is aware of the fact that we lack the physicality in the trenches. He has shown his knowledge of that. So that being said, that's why I said I would go head to head with anyone who wants to re-sign Little, and that he wasn't what he was supposed to be, because he is big. You just mentioned he's bigger, but he's not more physical. Now, whatever the reason could be, you could attribute it to a million things, but the point being is that he's still not as physical. That is the point I'm making. So could he develop? Sure. If he comes out this next season and he's a physical monster and just takes over the point of attack, then, I mean, it's a whole nother discussion then. But if we're talking about the Walker Little that we have seen to this point, he's been a good gap player for us to get us to the line that we really need. He's been a good filler spot. He slows down these ends. He just doesn't stop them, is my thing. So I can see what you're saying. I feel like I know why that came off as like I was just attacking him as like a bad player, because it sounded like that for sure. Hey, he's not a bad player. He's a good player. He's a solid piece. But I know that Walker Little's going to want good money, though, because he knows he's good. Okay? Mm-hmm. But for the fact that we face the best tackles in the league, we can't be spending starter tackle money in another division on a guy that's not necessarily starter tackle consistency in our division. And in our conference, we do play the best ends in the league. You're absolutely right. We're playing absolute game wreckers, guys that take the game over at the point of attack. And unfortunately, no matter what we can attribute the reason to be, thus far, Walker Little has not been able to stop that when these guys show up and do that. There's just the best he's been able to do is slow them down. And sometimes, and I'm not saying that that's easy to do. It's not. That there's a reason they're game wreckers. There's a reason that they are the highest touted ends in the league. Okay, and I get that. But that just goes to show that we have to get even better on the tackle and the guard positions. And that's really all I'm saying.
Yeah, I would say, though, the thing, too, is, 8 games isn't much to go off of, because that's all he really got at the start was about 8 games for us.
Yeah.
So I mean, you got guys getting whole seasons. We overpaid Cam Robinson and drafted him in the same season. I don't really get that. We paid Cam Robinson 20-something million a year whenever he's maybe a top 16, if not bottom 16 tackle, in terms of starting left tackles. But no, I mean, I know what you're saying, and Javon Foster may be more physical. I just don't think we've seen enough of Walker Little. I mean, given Cam's track record, we might see plenty of him this year. But we never really know. Javon Foster might win the bid. Currently we have 4 tackles on the roster, so we'll 4 tackles on the roster that are going to make the roster, I should say. So we'll see how it goes. We also got the wild card. We got the tugboat coming back, baby. So guards should not be an issue. But you know what? That's enough about Javon Foster and Walker Little. Jordan Jefferson. People are very, very, very critical about this pick. I disagree with a lot of people on this pick on how critical they're being. What do you guys think?
I think it was a really it was a more thought out pick than a player pick. I think it was less about who he is as a player and more about making our second round pick comfortable in Duval with chemistry. And obviously this guy is also a beast. I don't want to understate that. That guy is also a beast. Right. So let's just take up the fact that he is a good player and set that to the side. You think our first round pick, LSU, our second round pick, LSU. You got 2 guys from the same alma mater, and you're going to bring in a third. 2 of the 3 guys from the same alma mater play side by side. Played side by side. If humankind has ever learned anything in history, is that most of the time we learn and do better in pairs or in multiples than we do solos. That's most, not everyone. There are people that thrive better solo. Absolutely. But most of the time it is proven that we do better with pairs and more help. And it's so much easier to not just be the only new guy in the room. And not only are you not the only new guy in the room, but your buddy from your alma mater that you have gone to war with is in that room and he's in the same position as you. You will build off of each other. You will learn, and you will just even more solidify one of our weaknesses in interior D line as far as depth wise, because we do got Devon. So we weren't, but other than Devon and Eric, kind of crickets playing in that room, there's guys there, but they're just kind of standing in the way a lot of times, they're not really moving anybody. They're not doing anything. So you look at it and you're like, I don't see how you can hate this pick. I don't, because at the very least, those 2 will switch with each other while Eric and Devon switch out, or whatever rotation it may end up being. But at the end of the day, those guys, or hell, those guys switch in when Devon and Eric come out, or whatever it may be. I guarantee you, if those 2 get on the field at the exact same time, hands in the dirt, side by side, they're going to destroy someone's offensive hopes and dreams.
Boom. That's it, Trevor. I agree with you 852%. That is truth. And of course, once again, you got to talk about the familiarity with the coaches on the coaching staff. So that helps as well. But Jordan Jefferson, hey, I love the pick. I really do. He's a space eater. Oh, I just can't wait to see him in action. And when we made this pick, I think I responded to a thing in the chat. Hey, this is Devon Hamilton's replacement right here. This is
absolutely,
it. And I think that's the process behind picking this kid right here. And yes, I think it's a great pick. And Trevor, you said something I really hadn't considered, and that was pairing the 2 together. They played in college together, so they know each other. Oh man, you're talking about something. Good job, Trevor. Good job of an analysis, man. Because Jordan Jefferson, I think this was another great, well, I'm not going to say great, but good draft pick by the Jags and Baalke. I think, once again, if we're not going to overstate it, but he's learning, he's listening, he's really paying attention to what needs to be done and what the players are asking for. And once again, Jefferson brings that physicality to that defensive front, which I hear some fans saying, well, we should have got a corner here. But what they don't realize, corner's job is easier when you got a defensive front that's causing havoc. That all works hand in hand, and it starts there. So I think this was a outstanding pick, and I give it a B because I watched something. He gets a little lazy every now and then, but once again, that's another teachable moment that can be taught, and I think this is a good pick. So I give it a B, high B.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, Jordan Jefferson. Hey, shout out Santa Rosa County native. Me and Jordan played against each other in high school.
Look at that.
Against each other. I mean, we were both on defense, so not really against each other.
Oh, okay.
He was a sophomore my junior year when I played at Pace High School, and he played at Navarre High School. Dude was huge back then. So, there was no question that guy was going to the league. We had a couple of guys that played against him. Alex Leatherwood was in that place. He went to Booker T, Washington High School. There's a couple of guys that I played with that ended up going and playing D1 ball. But yeah, shout out to the Santa Rosa County native, Jordan Jefferson. With that being said, I mean, dude's huge. He's a space filler, like you said. He's going to get it done. He's 6'3", 320. He'll probably be 335, 340 by the time the season starts, I would assume. And yeah, I mean, he is Devon Hamilton's replacement at the end of the day is what I think is happening. I don't know. I mean, we're not bringing Devon back. We might get rid of him after this season. He's only got one more year on his deal after this year, if I'm not mistaken. So I mean, my thing is, people have been talking all this shit about it and like, oh well, if they're so good, then why did they re-sign, or if our defense was so bad, then why did they re-sign Roy Robertson Harris and Devon Hamilton to extensions? I'm like, whoa. Like, Devon Hamilton was before last season after we had a good year and we went to the playoffs. It's like Roy Robertson Harris was a restructure so we can get some more money on the books. I was like, these guys have nothing to do with our draft picks in terms of why we picked these guys and why did we re-sign them if we picked these guys? Well, we hadn't picked these guys. So how the fuck are we supposed to know who was going to fall to us in the draft or what we were going for?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. But
right.
That's it. Real quick, I mean, that's just something that gets me about this fan base is like everybody laughs at us because our fans are so unknowledgeable about football and the inner workings of how GMs build teams. Like, yeah, we want to win now. GMs are seeing how they can win now and how they can win in the future too.
I want to touch on a couple more things before we move on. So if you're not done, continue. I apologize.
Not done quite yet about Jordan Jefferson, but I will be.
Okay.
Good. I give it a solid B-. The only reason I give it a B- is because I think we probably could have gotten him at maybe the 153 pick with DeAndre Prince, but I wouldn't want to take that chance. But I think there's a chance we could have maybe traded back a little bit and gotten him. But I'm okay with the reach here to fill a position that needs to be filled. He did one more rep than Devon Hamilton at the combine. Devon Hamilton was a shell of himself last year after he had the blood poisoning. Now I do hope that Devon comes back healthy and plays well. But this is now we don't have to put in, Jeremiah Ledbetter, who gets on the field and, looks like he's getting thrown around everywhere because he's a smaller guy. I mean, even though he's big, he looks small for a big guy. This is a guy, he's a 0-1 nose tackle. He's not a 3 tech. He's not a 5 tech. You're not splitting him out wide. This dude is a 0-1 nose tackle. That's it. He's going to go in there. He's going to be right over the center. He's going to be mauling everything. He's going to fill up. He's going to take up 2 guys every time he's in the A gap. He's going to take up whatever guard and center's there every time. And like Trevor said, it does help that him and Mason Smith are familiar with each other. But this is just another great pick to give us a good rotation. I think we now probably have the deepest D line in the not the conference potentially, but the division, and potentially one of the deeper D lines in the conference. You know what I mean? I think that we're not done yet. I know we signed a kid undrafted. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But yeah, I really like the Jordan Jefferson pick.
All right, the couple of things that I definitely wanted to touch on was I know you said you didn't want to overstate it, Eric, about the importance of Baalke listening, but I think actually I don't think we could overstate it. Actually, I don't think it could be possible because it part of Josh Allen wanting to re-sign here was he obviously wanted to know this is my defense, right? Like he's made that clear. This is my defense. You can't make the man a general of an army and not give him any say in the soldiers. You can't do it. You can't do it because you can't make him a general and then not give him any say-so. And I'd be hard-pressed to say, especially with Chase Young. If I'm not mistaken, Chase Young has left the 49ers, correct?
Yeah, he's with New Orleans.
Right. I thought he went to New Orleans. I thought I saw that, but I didn't want to misspeak. But anyway, with Chase Young leaving, I'd be hard-pressed to find another front four with those guys on the field, especially or our rotation. Any of our rotational pieces, I'd be hard-pressed to find a front four that's going to move a line like ours would. I mean, I'd be hard-pressed. And then our front seven, you take it back even 3 more positions. Show me a better front seven anymore. Because in San Francisco, Bosa, Fred, who else? And they were the front seven to beat.
Yeah,
it was them. Right. And then also, I think it also needs to be touched on a little bit heavier that Ryan Nielsen was their DC in LSU. You brought it up, but I do think, again, I think that deserves a little bit more of the conversation when it comes to deciding where you grade these picks, because these guys, it's not like they just kind of fell onto our draft board. They didn't just like show up out of nowhere. There are 2 reasons they're there. They are studs and Ryan Nielsen.
Exactly.
That's the 2 reasons they're there. Okay, and then like you guys said, he's replacing Devon Hamilton. I do believe eventually he is going to replace Devon Hamilton. I am of that opinion as well. I just think Devon Hamilton, we've seen him do big things, big moves, like make big movements. He's made strong movements. We've also touched on his shell of his former self, as Isaiah said, after the blood poisoning, which was tragic to hear about. But that being said, the knowledge didn't leave him. Just because he was physically ailed doesn't mean he was mentally ailed. This guy is still going to be a huge fountain of knowledge alongside Eric and Josh and now Trayvon Walker to teach these guys the things that they are lacking now. I mean, you fine-tune these guys' games, and who's going to be better? Who? I mean, honestly, who's going to be better? No one. That's who. No one. And then our front seven. If we figure out exactly what we want to do, like with the 3, if we want to move Muma up, or like what we're doing with our third, what we're going to do there instead of running the 3-2-5. I mean, hey, we figure that out right there. I mean, that's one piece away from the scariest front seven in the league, in my opinion. I mean, you got Foyer, who any quarterback you've ever seen do an interview that's ever mentioned Foyer always puts respect on Foyer. I've never seen someone disrespect Foyer's game.
Right.
And anybody with a set of eyeballs can see that you take that thumb cast off of Devin Lloyd, and he's taken the season over last year.
Yeah, he still kind of did.
And I was about to say, and he still kind of did. Okay, so we're one piece now, because in my opinion, I do think our DB situation is solved now. Personally, I'm of the opinion we haven't got there yet, which obviously later on we're going to get there. But I think our cornerback room is solid. Solid. I am very happy with the place of our secondary now. And then we've just beefed the hell out of our front seven. I'm just saying. Watch out for the Jaguars if you ain't paying attention. Oh, and the last thing I wanted to say. I got to touch on something Isaiah said. I don't think it's so much that Jags fans are unknowledgeable. I would have to say it's that we're still so young in the league. You got to think a lot of these guys, we're going on our 30th season, absolutely. But I mean, you're thinking a lot of these guys were fans from birth, so they're just now hitting 30 years old. They're just now, hitting the stride where things make deeper sense.
Yeah, but one thing I'll say about that is there were a lot of people that are Jags fans that were fans of other teams before and then became Jags fans because of the fact there was a team in Jacksonville. And not to mention, we're in Florida, bro. There's snowbirds everywhere. People move here from everywhere. You see every jersey you could think of at the game. I don't think it's an excuse to say we're a younger team, mainly because even if their parents weren't Jaguars fans, their pops was a fan of somebody, and they taught them about football, unless they're a first-generation football lover. And I just don't think that, there's an excuse to be ignorant because you don't keep track of a lot of football. Like you don't like we keep track of it because we do a podcast, you know. I just think that like when you're trying to like argue with people and like act like someone else doesn't know what they're talking about, and you've never even done the slightest bit of like even Googling a player or like talking about how terrible these kids are, bro, they're kids, you know, like Javon Foster, 22, or not Javon Foster, Jordan Jefferson, 22. Mason Smith, 21. Brian Thomas Jr., 21. You know, these are kids that we're out here, we're ragging on them, talking about how terrible they are and how we reached on them and how they never should have been drafted by us, at least not way many, all these picks later. Bro, let these kids come out there and play. Give them their money. We drafted them where we drafted them. I just don't understand like why we have to try and tear every single pick that we have down. If we had a stupid pick, I would say that. I think, you know, like the Keelan Robinson pick, especially when it happened, we all thought it was dumb. But whenever we got to thinking about it with the new kickoff rules and everything, we understood the pick. And that's the thing is people are just taking these picks at face value. And I think that, again, just the amount of Jags fans that I interact with, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on Twitter, you know, they're talking about how much of a failure the team is and how Mason Smith is going to be terrible. Like, shut up. Seriously. Like everybody said that about Trayvon Walker, and now nobody can say Trayvon Walker is not a top guy in the league. I don't care who you are. And if you do, you're stupid. There's still people talking about how we should have drafted Hutchinson and how Hutchinson's league's better than him. Hutchinson had 5 sacks put in his lap each year, the past 2 years. He had 2 top 10 defensive tackles last year on the interior. We had 2 guys. One was ranked 52 and the other one was ranked 95. Yeah. So let's not sit here and act like we know football and we're going to say, oh, Aiden Hutchinson's way better. He had, 1 sack more, and he had 2 guys in the interior that are 2 of the best defensive tackles in the football league.
I just got to say, I think you're absolutely right, but I think we're calling out the wrong people. I think the true Duval fans, like the true Jaguars fans, like, because I can tell you, in that stadium, just on draft night, and every time I go to a game, I can at least tell you at least 4 people around me that know ball. You can talk to them. They point the plays out. They see the things coming. So I think what we're seeing is there's just too many keyboard warriors that are fake fans. That I hate. We've got so many fake fans that
I don't understand that because we've been bad for so long. How do we have so many fake fans?
Exactly.
That's what I don't get.
It's got to be because we got the cleanest jerseys in the league. That's what we do.
Yeah, that's far too.
But
now,
anyway,
those new Lions jerseys, those are fire. But once we release our retros, we'll have the best jerseys again.
Yeah. But again, I mean, you look at it though, like really, I think really who you just called out is the fake fans. The guys that do nothing but shit on us no matter what we do.
No matter what.
You're not a real fan because those are the same guys saying that Trevor Lawrence is not a franchise QB. Those are the same guys that are saying that Trayvon Walker's a bust. You know, clearly you have no idea what in the flying fuck you are talking about. Okay. And those are the same guys that say that we overpaid Josh Allen. You also have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. And you're also the same guys that say that $95 million for Calvin Ridley is what we should have done a year ago. You are fucking retarded because a year ago he wouldn't even cost that much. So again, if you knew ball, you'd know that that's not even how that would have went down if we would have really done it before the season last year and everybody realized that he can still cut routes. All right, let's just be real. So I think at the end of the day, you just called out the fake fans. The real fans, because I've got to get props to the people that I'm sitting around every time in the stadium and that I'm around every time I go to an event or even just the guys that I see actually following the account that actually have takes that make sense. There are a lot of us that know ball. I don't think there's actually that many of us true fans that really aren't football savvy. I really don't. I just think we represent a lot of that silent majority type category because we know that our team has been bad for a while. We are not negligent. Okay, just because we're fans does not mean we're idiots. All right, we know. We know it's been rough for a while, all right? And we also know that in Duval, you don't get your hopes up until the things start panning out. You just don't do it. Don't count your chips before the game's over because I'm telling you, when you think you've got a solid thing wrapped up, it goes to shit. Jalen Ramsey, exhibit fucking A. I will never stop saying that, okay? You think you've got something in the bag, and then we shit the bed with it. We've had a history of doing it, but it's an exciting time to be in Duval. It's an exciting time to be a fan because we have a front office that's finally listening. We've got leaders on both sides of the ball that are giving their opinions or actually making changes for our team. We've got coordinators who are a coordinator who knows what he's doing, and we've got a coordinator who is yet to be seen. I guess we'll see. I don't want to see Isaiah blow his top over there.
All right, Cody.
But anyway, it's a great time to be in Duval, man. So I just had to clear that up. I think the majority of us are football savvy. I would just have to say that there are more keyboard warriors than us Duval fans who like to put our foot in our mouth. We just don't like to put our foot in our mouth, so we stay quiet a lot. There's just too many people that like to get on there and say things because they think they know what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
They're also the same guys that think C.J. Stroud is a better quarterback than Trevor Lawrence, and I will fight you about that. I will fight you. Because I'm going to tell you right now.
Fight you.
I will fight. Absolutely.
But that's enough. All right, we don't need to get into Texans hate.
DeAndre
Prince.
I got your back, Trevor.
Show me a quarterback that can make back shoulder fades like he can. You can't because it doesn't happen. There's nobody doing it.
Show me a cornerback like DeAndre Prince and what you would grade him.
I would grade him a solid B, mainly because I actually went back and I watched a lot of tape on this guy. I like him. I do like him. He's got a lot of shit that needs to be corrected. But we've got a lot of veteran leadership in that DB room now, and this goes back to what I was just saying a minute ago.
Great cornerback coach, too.
Great cornerback coach. This guy is going to turn out to be a stud. And I also like the fact that he's going to be one of those iron sharpens iron situations. And what I mean by that is he was a stud corner. I don't think there was anyone that's actually said he's a bad corner. And he even goes on to say that the toughest receiver he's ever faced is our round 1 pick, Brian Thomas Jr. He went on record and said that. So that being said, this guy is driven to go head to head with this guy every day in practice. And that's what we need. We need to
run with the ones. You got to be with the ones. He's going to have to play hard to get there.
Exactly. And that being said, this guy is going to be chomping at the bit to get in there. And that's what we need, man, because Duval, we draft people and then it just we never give them the fair shake and they lose their eagerness to hit the field. They just lose it. And then they walk when they get the chance and go be studs somewhere else. Okay? I don't think that Prince is going to let that happen. And I don't think our cornerback coach, and I don't honestly think that Ryan Nielsen will let that happen either. Ryan Nielsen clearly has a plan for this guy, I think. I mean, you watch the type of corner he is. I think, personally, I'm not ready to go out and say it for sure yet. So I'll keep this one to myself on what I think we're doing, obviously. Everybody's got an idea. But I think the writing is literally all over the wall on what Jacksonville defense is going to look like next year. The writing is on the wall. I think our scheme is on the wall because if you look at the guys we drafted and where they're comfortable playing, that's all you need to see. That's all you need to know. Just watch. We're going to be a lockdown team. I'm calling it.
Okay. What about you, Eric?
What else is there to say? Trevor done covered it all in the last 10 minutes. I mean, really, he's done hit it already. He knocked it out the park. Yeah, I think this is a good pick. I wasn't too familiar with him, but as Trevor said, I went back and looked at some of the film and decent. I think he'll be a good rotational piece, and he may actually work into a starting lineup, year or two. But right now, he'll be a good rotational piece. This reminds me, and Trevor started this, y'all. Okay. I go a little bit further back than these guys. This reminds me of the defense we had with Stroud, Henderson, Mathis, Daryl Smith. Joe. I mean, this defense is beginning to look a lot like that defense. I mean, just fast, aggressive, mean. And we beat. I think it was Pittsburgh and Jacksonville 9-0. I mean, this when Pittsburgh had a heck of a offense, and we beat them 9-0 in Jacksonville. Now y'all go back and look that up. So yes, this is what this defense is beginning to look like, and I'm really excited to see it. Yeah, but Prince is a good pick. I give it a B. All right, Isaiah.
Okay. No, I like him. He's another instance of us adding speed to the room. He's a little small. I think he'll put on some weight, of course, before the season. Probably like year 2 or 3. He's probably going to be like up or closer to 200 pounds playing. But yeah, no, I like the pick. I think he's a good player with good instincts. I think he's got some work to do, though, like Trevor mentioned. But I think that he's a good physical prospect. And I think that with our DB coach, I mean, he worked with the Legion of Boom. He's with Ryan Nielsen now. Like, he's been in some good spots. I think that if any scheme and any coaching staff is going to do it, I think that we're going to be one of them that's going to turn some of these guys into some studs. I love the pick. I love where we picked him. If he turns out to be good, I mean, that's a 5th round corner that could be really good. Yeah, I like it. I give it a solid B. We got Keelan Robinson. I mean, I understand why they brought him in. Kick returner, I mean, I don't think he works his way into the lineup at all, at least not playing running back or anything with the guys in front of him that he's got. Unless it's like a little like gadget play or like as like a gadget player a little bit because he's quick. But I don't see him really playing too much on the offensive side of the ball besides just special teams on that return because he was a really good returner. I guess I would go like a C on this one, only because I don't think he helps us on offense, but I do think he'll be a solid return piece. What do you guys think?
I go a D. I go a D because I just see the all-new Agnew too.
Yeah, but you need an Agnew whenever the kick return rules are forcing us to return a football.
Well, welcome to the Devin Duvernay era.
Well, yeah, but you got to have 2.
I know we need help. I'm not
saying you have to have 2 for the kickoff rule.
Yeah, I know we have to have 2, but I mean, even looking at that, dude, it's just I don't know. I feel like that pick we could have found someone, and we're going to get into this also in the undrafteds that we could have used for that 2 spot.
Maybe.
I do think that this draft pick could have been used another way.
He was regarded as one of the top kick returners in the class, though. That is something that has come out, is that he was looked at as one of the top kick returners in the class, especially at that position with who was left.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying for where he was. I know now, especially knowing what we picked up in the undrafted.
Mm-hmm.
What you got for us there?
Looking at Keaton, I remember when he was recruited to go to Alabama, and then he transferred to Texas, and the kid is quick. He's fast. I think when we drafted him, okay, I scratched my head. I'm like, okay, why? And then somebody reminded me about the new kickoff rules. Okay, that makes sense. Put 2 of them back there. He'll be one of them, maybe, maybe not. Then I thought about it. He can. We got to see when we look at a lot of these drafts, the players we're drafting, we forget to think about the head coach, Doug Peterson, Darren Sproles. Remember him?
I thought about that yesterday.
Remember him? So and Robinson kind of gives me those kind of vibes in the Doug Peterson type of offense. So I don't know. I'm kind of leaning yay. Like low B, high C. I just want to see how they're going to use him because I can see the potential in this kid, not as far as taking ETN's spot or even Tank Bisbee, but he has that Darren Sproles type of vibe for me, which means he can be all over the place. So we'll see. It's a decent pick though because we need some help on special teams anyway as far as returns. So
as long as he's a successful Agnew.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, moving right along, one of my favorite picks of the draft, Cam Little out of Arkansas. I'd give this one an A personally. I think that this kid, he's super accurate. 129 of 129 on extra points. I think he was like 54 of 62 or something like that on his kicks. So right at like 82.8% for his percentage made. He's 4 of 5 over 50 yards with a career long of 56, and he's been seen at camps kicking 50 or 61 yarders. I think that we finally got a kicker. I know some people are calling him Baby Scobie already. I think we've got a kicker that we can put on a contract that we can have for a while. If he turns out to be good, I would love to lock this kid up on a long-term extension down the road. Of course, that's kind of in the future, to be talking about right now. But I really like this pick because I think that we could have potentially just locked in a guy who is super accurate in college. He's been featured on a lot of stuff for being one of the better kickers that is coming out. I'd love to see him, be really good and just play well.
Agreed. Goodbye, Joey Sly.
Yeah, I think the fact that we cut Joey Sly so quickly says something about it.
Yeah, that was a little hilarious. I'm like, didn't we just sign him? And yeah, he's gone already.
All I'm saying is A+. A+.
Look, yeah, he don't even have to be Scobie. Be Lambeau. And I'm happy with that. Because, Lambeau was pretty good. I think it's going to be hard to find a Scobie. Scobie was like automatic, man. When he walked out there, you already knew. That's 3. Don't even worry about it. So, yeah, we good with that. I'm good with that.
Okay. Last pick in the draft. Miles Cole out of Texas Tech. 6'6", 278 pounds. I think he was there for 5 years at Texas Tech. He's a 5-year player at least. Looked at as still a super raw prospect. He needs time to develop, but he's a big player that's going to be rotation. I kind of see him as like another Deshaun Dixon, where he's just a big guy that fits into the scheme. We got Dixon out of Norfolk State, but he was more of like a 3-4 outside linebacker, not a 4-3 edge. But I mean, he kind of reminds me of him a little bit, where he's a solid athletic player. I think he ran like a 4.67 40. He's strong. He's got the longest arms and biggest wingspan in the draft. I think he could be a good rotation, but I don't see him like getting any real playing time this year with all the guys in front of him. I give it like a C+, maybe, like a C+, I'd say, just because I don't know that I'm going to see him playing much. Of course, 7th round pick, it's not the expectation. I just think that if you're in college for 5 or 6 years and you still come out as a raw prospect, it's kind of tough to want to hang with that, but I don't hate it for depth and how big he is.
I think it was just one of those BOA.
Yeah.
I think, or BPA as everyone else calls it, best player available. I think it was just one of those scheme guys. Raw prospect, as you said. I honestly, watching some of the tape I've seen on him, I don't think he has most of the unteachables. He lacks some of the unteachables. Very raw cut prospect, though. Potential. But I really, honestly, I foresee he will be cut or he's just going to walk after his rookie contract's up.
Yeah, special teams, if anything.
Yep.
Yeah, special teams. Special teams. So, okay. Because you got to remember, new kickoffs, we need some big bodies on the
4.67 and big boy. Yeah. He'll probably be out there, I'm sure.
Yeah, so even Baalke said that in the post-draft conference. So, yeah.
It's going to be hard to block him from 5 yards away.
So, it is. Yeah. That guy's coming.
So do we still want to get into the UDFAs, or do we want to wait till the next episode? Because we're up on an hour and 10 minutes here.
I'm good with the next episode. It's up to you guys, though. I'll do it now. It don't bother me.
Yeah, I can do it now. I think we all gotta, we can do it now.
Okay. Hey,
let's
get into it then. We gotta get a little slew of them. I think 13, if I'm not mistaken.
13.
Where is? I just had it pulled up. Good Lord.
It is 13.
Yeah, it's 13 of them.
Yeah, 13. I had the list pulled up though. I know the one we all want to talk about and the one we all think is going to be great. Now, again, we signed. Let's see. We drafted 1 wide receiver. We signed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wide receivers in the UDFA portal. They've got to think that at least one of these guys can make the roster. And I think we all know or are going to agree on who we think it will be. But they've got to be sure that at least one of these guys is making the roster. Because, right now the guys that are locked in, BTJ, Gabe Davis, Christian Kirk, and then we've got BTJ, Gabe Davis, Christian Kirk, Devin Duvernay. They just signed him. There's no way they're letting him go. 4 guys. I do think that Parker Washington is going to be a lock with number 5. I think the rest of these guys are competing to be 6 and 7. If we carry 7 this year, we did last year, there's a chance. I think these guys are competing to be 6 and 7, though, if not just number 6. I don't know much about many of them, but I do know a lot about Ruby Waynes, and I know a lot about Joshua Cephas, the steal of the UDFA period. Overall, we got a couple other guys. Let's go down the list here. Sean Bowman, Andre Carter, Indiana, Josh Cephas, Brevin Easton, Jalen Jackson, Stephen Jones, Trey Kaiser, Lorenzo Lingard, Andrew Parker Jr. Got Josh Proctor, excited about him, Wayne Ruby, Joseph Skates, and David White Jr. There's a couple guys on here I looked up and I wasn't really too impressed with. Of course, they're UDFA, so it's not really expected to be impressed with all of them. But there was definitely a couple guys that I was impressed with. What are we thinking here, boys?
I think Josh Cephas fell victim to the school he went to.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Because this guy is an absolute stud. I mean, he's a stud. So let's just get that out of the way. There's a reason that there's only 3 names on this list that most people are even going to know who they are. And that's Josh Proctor, Wayne Ruby, and Joshua Cephas. Okay. Josh Proctor, main reason anybody's going to know him, he's good. He's a solid player, really good. I think he's got a lot of upside. So I'm excited to see him come in and play. But his alma mater is Ohio State. All right. So you're probably heard his name once or twice. Okay. Yep. Wayne Ruby, another one of those, fell victim to where he went. I mean,
I think also, though, fell victim, yes, but I don't know that he's getting 5,600 receiving yards in the ACC or the SEC.
No.
He definitely was. He definitely was above the talent level and was playing down to try and blow some stats up towards the end there.
Right. I just think what I mean by fell victim with him is he's not one that's going to take the game over. I think Joshua Cephas can definitely come in. I honestly, I will say, I would not be surprised to see Joshua Cephas come in and steal a spot from Parker Washington and bump Parker Washington down. I only say that because Parker Washington's a stud. We saw that, but Joshua Cephas is a fucking phenomenal player. I mean, he goes to a D1 school. I would venture as far as to say a round 1 draft pick. I would not be surprised. Dude's got the skill. He goes to a D1 school where he's surrounded by coordinators and people to develop his game the rest of the way.
Right.
He's a round 1 pick all day long. I mean,
he's one of those players that, you look at the little bio or whatever, you be like, okay. But when you watch him on film and watch him play, it's a totally different player. He catches everything. I mean, the kid can catch. And I watched a few of their games here, down in the great state of Texas. And the guy's a stud. The guy's a stud. Who else I'm interested to see though, that pops out? That guard from Oregon, Stephen Jones. I want to see what he can do. 6'5", 340.
Yeah, my big thing about Jones is for a big guy, he's not explosive and he's kind of weak. I think he did in the 20s on his bench reps. Low 20s if I'm not mistaken. Let me pull it up. I'm pretty sure I pulled it up. He might have been one of the guys that only did a pro day. Let me see here. I think he was. Let me pull up real quick. Because I know I was looking through everybody, and he only did 23 reps on the bench. He's got a big wingspan, long arms. He could be pretty good. I just think that you're 6'5", 340. You got to be doing more than 23 reps on the bench. But
But
I do like him. I definitely think that he could turn out to be a good player, at least a good camp body. But I just wish he did more reps, and I'd be a little more sold on him.
I think he will make the roster, though.
I think he can get stronger.
I think he can get stronger.
Yeah.
But I know we've got a weird loyalty to Cole Van Lannon. We still have Tugboat. You got to think about the fact that we got Tugboat. We're not going to be carrying 4 tackles unless we trade somebody. I just don't see. I'm not saying he can't make the roster. I just don't see him outplaying enough people to make the roster this season. He may stay on the practice squad and be, somebody gets hurt. Yeah. I just think that if the Tugboat is back and healthy and we're carrying 4 tackles, we don't get rid of anybody. I just don't see the ability for him to be on the roster unless he just plays super hard and gets rid of Van Lannon or somebody.
And good luck. They love Van.
Yeah. Okay. That besides Cephas, I think that's who really stood out. I looked at the running back from Villanova. I'm like, okay, yeah.
I like Jalen Jackson.
Yeah, but I don't know. He's lacking something for me. I don't know whether it's the speed or what, but he's lacking a little bit for me. I wasn't that impressed. I'm like, okay, you get run down on this level. Yeah, you're not. No.
He reminds me, Jalen Jackson, he's my player besides, of course, Josh Cephas and Wayne Ruby, the obvious ones. He's my player that sticks out to me. I think he is very similar to one Mr. James Robinson. 5'9", 220 pounds. He has really good contact balance. He's not going to outrun anybody in a foot race. He did have some long touchdowns, though. He still burst off a couple. He's got solid vision, but he's not getting tackled by the first guy if they don't put their whole body into him and they're not big. Now, do I think he makes the roster? Probably not. I think he'll be a practice squad guy. But he reminds me of James Robinson with his size and weight and the way he runs the football. He's very downhill. He's not trying to, juke you out and spin move and do all this dancing. He's not waiting in the backfield for 3 or 4 seconds. He's getting the ball and he's hitting the hole. And if he finds something, he's going. And if you don't put your body on him, he's not getting down. But again, like you said, he doesn't have that second gear. He's got one gear, and once he hits it, he hits it quick, and once he hits it, he's either got enough room to make it or somebody's running his ass down. But I mean, I don't hate that from a perspective of I think we do need potentially more than just Tank Bigsby to be hitting holes hard. I think he does that and fills that role. But of course, we've got, Travis Etienne, Tank Bigsby, Dearness Johnson. We're probably carrying a 4th guy. Keelan Robinson's probably going to be that guy. But if they decide to go Keelan Robinson purely special teams, I could see him making a slip into the lineup as a big power guy to come in and play some downs. But I think he's going to be a practice squad guy we'll keep around for development.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah. But like you said, I don't see him contributing this year. He's not a guy who's a burner. That was one thing about James Robinson too, is he had like no touchdowns over 20 yards because he just couldn't get away from anybody. And when he did, he'd get hawked down before he could get there.
Yeah, he had one against the Chargers, wasn't that over 20 yards?
Yes. It was like 50 something, I think,
against
the Chargers.
Yeah, against the Chargers, yeah. Hey, I like James. I did.
I like James a lot.
I thought he got a bum rap when they got rid of him. But of course, remember who was coaching. Yeah. Anyway.
He also just lost it after coming back from that Achilles tear. He just didn't have it like he did.
Well, of course. You just don't come back from an Achilles tear like that.
Of course. Oh yeah.
Now maybe now with the surgery and whatever else they do, doctors they have now, but then no. You just even with ACLs, it takes a minute for you just to even trust your body. You know what I mean? For you to trust your body. So, yeah, but it is what it is. It is what it is. I don't know. That's about all that stood out to me. I just got excited about Cephas, and really, once I saw Cephas, I'm like, yeah, okay, good job. Because y'all know I kept saying, what about the UDAs? Because I think you can find some gems there, and I think he is one. if they give him a fair shot.
Yeah,
Give him
absolutely.
a fair shot. So yeah.
I like Proctor. I just think it's going to be hard for him because he's going to have to beat Daniel Jones, or not Daniel Jones. Good Lord, he's got to beat Daniel Thomas, and not only at safety, but he's also got to beat Daniel Thomas on special teams because Daniel Thomas is a phenomenal special teams player, a great open field tackler, and honestly, when he comes in and plays, he is not a detriment to the team. He plays well when he's in.
Right.
He just got hurt those first couple years. But yeah, no, I mean that's kind of Josh Proctor. I do like him. I think he could be a good prospect. He's got to be better than DT on special teams. If he doesn't beat him on special teams, he's not making the roster.
I agree with that.
We'll let you, Trevor. You got anybody else you want to hit on that we got at the UDFAs?
Let me look one more time.
I'm about to have to run up to CVS and get some antibacterial soap for this tattoo.
Yeah, you gotta get that taken care of. No, I don't have anybody else right now.
I got you. All right, boys. Well, we got anything else? Overall grades? Anything we want to slap on there?
Oh, I think we about covered it, really.
I give the draft overall an A.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's an A.
And we are in agreement.
Okay.
It is unanimous.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes, it is unanimous.
If that's the case, long episode today. That's always fine. If you stuck around this long, thank you. We love you. We can't wait to see y'all during the season. If you didn't stick around, and I don't blame you, it's hard to look at this ugly mug right here for an hour and 20-something minutes. But that's all good. Me and Trevor are going to look like the one brother got the short and fat gene and one got the tall and skinny gene out there with our beards and blonde hair with each other out at the football games. We can't wait to see you guys. But yeah, man, it's going to be a good time. Thanks for stopping in. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe if you have not already and you're still here this late. We do appreciate you guys. And thanks for stopping in. Go Jags.
Duval!
There it is.
You know it's coming.
Oh, yeah.